Our next speaker is one of the unsung heroes, and all of you are in the same boat, in the same category. She is a research mom, she cares, and it is the grassroots people, as Liberty Bell just pointed out, that really make this movement work. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it with love for Sharon Hanek.
Thank you. It's great to see all of you out here today. I know that some of you may be looking at and saying, gee, there's some empty spots beside me on the steps, but I always look at events as you are here because something has driven you to be here that makes you special. And because you are special, you are going to be able to do more than if we just had a big crowd and 90% of the crowd goes home after they had a nice day at the Capitol steps. So, but all of you here, I'm hoping, are research moms and dads. And for those who don't know me, I have spent the last 9 years now on in these hallways and in the rooms back there testifying on issues. I coined the phrase research mom because I'm a mad mom that got involved in education first and then started finding out about the other things like Agenda 21 and finding out that most people don't know what that word means or that they are implementing it. And so I walk around these hallways and educate legislators, spending 2 to 3 days a week in Olympia during session for the past 9 years. From that, I've learned a lot. I've made a lot of mistakes in the beginning, but then I've also learned a lot. So now I go around the state of Washington sharing stories, sharing things, and helping you, each one of you, become an activist. And the 3 steps. Number 1, you need to get informed. Without information, you don't have a leg to stand on. I also say when you get informed, it means reading, asking questions, reading the documentation, holding the documents in your hand, because the documents is your weapon of truth. So after you become informed, you can't just sit on it. You can't just know it up here in your brain. You have to go around and share your information. That is how many of you may be here, is because someone shared the information with you, so you got engaged and you became active. So each one of you now need to go out and share information with other people. After you share the information, you need to start showing up. And I don't need to tell you folks about showing up. You're here. But showing up means showing up in Olympia. It means showing up in school board meetings. It's showing up at the Pierce County Council and showing up just everywhere and voicing your opinion. Let them know that you exist. Because they live in the bubble, our leaders, anyone making law, live in a bubble, and they don't know that there's another side out there to the issue. And that side is the side that I call truth. And many of them don't know that there's this truth out there, and it's up to us as citizens to educate them on the truth. My other hat, other than research mom, mad mom, baseball mom, is that I am a tax accountant. So I did take some time out to be here today after delivering some tax returns this morning, and I'm going to go back and work on some more. I also represent my clients in front of the IRS, the Department of Revenue, the Labor and Industries, and the Employment Security. So I see a lot of horror stories on what happens in these tax audits. One of the worst things that I have seen in many years is that our Department of Revenue, our Labor and Industries, and our Employment Security have been given the right by the people sitting in this building here to estimate what they think your taxes should be. So then they send you a bill and they said, oh, we think you should have made $50,000 last year, so we're going to tax you on $50,000. And then it's up to you to find all your documents and defend yourself. And if you can't, then you're paying the $50,000. That is legal because the people in these halls here made that law. And so that is one of the things that we need to start changing. That is oppression on businesses. And many of you, when you think about tax day, you're thinking about taxes. And you're thinking about the overreaching arm of taking the money out of our pockets and giving it to others, because I think the tax system is a redistribution of wealth. And so what we've got going on is high taxes because they're giving it to other people that the government deems needy. And some might be needy. You've got homeless, you've got the shelters, but then the money is also going to other needy causes, such as the protection of trees, making sure that we have electric plug-ins all down I-90 and I-5, other needs that the government thinks that we have to have. When we think about tax day and distribution of wealth, we also are looking at other ways that regulations are oppressing businesses. And I think that that is one type of topic on tax day that is not often talked about, other than the basic concept of, yes, we have overregulation. Well, how are we having overregulations? One of the things that is happening with overregulation is we have a government that is now going into privately owned businesses and pharmacies and telling you what you can and cannot sell. You, as a store owner, do not have the right to offer services or offer products. The government, or the pharmacy board, in this case for the Storman family, is coming in and saying, you must do this. It's taking away your rights and your freedom as a business owner. The other way that they're doing it is not just telling you what you can and cannot sell. It is also saying that you have to go, that the government is going to give these contracts, and if you want the government contract as a construction person, then you have to join the union, or you have to show that your people have joined the union, or you have to show that your organization, your company, is green, that you have the sustainable stamp. Right. And so that is a backdoor way. Government is giving money to non-governmental organizations, NGOs, so that they can lobby the companies and ensure that that company, whether it's Costco or Starbucks or whoever, complies with Agenda 21, and that they get the little sticker on their card that says, I'm green. And so this atmosphere of using government funding to fund NGOs to force corporations to comply with the new mindset and the mind shift of backdoor regulations of government. And then all of a sudden, you, as a company that says, wait a minute, to go green is going to cost me twice as much money than it would just if I just use common sense and cost-effective measures, are you going to find out that you have no customers because you haven't proven yourself to be good enough in the eyes of society. And so what we have in this session is in these halls again, back there in Olympia, they voted on a new bill to create social purpose corporations. The social purpose corporations is a backdoor way of saying that we will no longer measure if a corporation is good or bad based upon how much money they make, not the economic structure and finances. It is on how well they protect Mommy Earth. And so with these new social purpose corporations, it's about, oh, how well you take care of your employees, how well you hug the trees, if you have good green measures in your production line. That is how the new measurement system, if we allow them to get away with it. Yes, we've let that law go by, but that doesn't mean that we have to allow society to change to this new mindset. Another way that government is trying to overregulate you is that they're telling your company, that if you don't comply with human rights measures, then they're going to go after you and fine you. So when you have your sign, your church is putting on a Christmas pageant, and you bring in the advertisement and put the advertisement on the counter and say, we want to celebrate Christmas with this Jesus birth nativity production, and an employee says, oh, wait, I don't like that, it's not good, they will win because of human rights. Or if you are a photographer, a Christian photographer, and you don't want to take pictures of certain types of wedding ceremonies, if we lose the same-sex marriage measures, you don't have a choice and you will be fined. Or you have a great mansion that's a great location for weddings, and someone comes to you and says, I want to do a certain wedding here. You as a private citizen and as a business owner do not have the right to say no. It used to be no shirt, no shoes, no service. Well, that only works in certain areas now because we're going to be living in a different paradigm, again, if we allow government to take control and if we don't get involved. The most insidious way that government is backdooring their way into our lives is through our children. What I see happening in the daycare situation is most daycares are privately owned. In fact, a lot of daycares are owned by churches, and many of the daycares are just really, children are being cared for by auntie and uncle, grandma and grandpa. It's called the Family, Friends, and Neighbors Network. Now we're going to have regulations that say if you want to maintain your daycare license, you have to jump through some hoops. I'm going to tell you some of these hoops. One of the hoops is if you have too much dust on certain equipment as of March 31st, the Department of Early Learning can come in and shut you down. Or if you don't have the proper medical records for all the children in your daycare, they can come in and shut you down. So there's one daycare provider that told me that they had a 3-month-old baby that they were taking care of. And the Department of Early Learning came in and said, where is the name of the dentist for this 3-month-old baby? And the daycare provider says, well, she doesn't have teeth. We don't have a provider. And they actually had to, quote, lie and put the name of a provider down in order to stay in compliance. There's another lady that told me that your refrigerator has to be at a certain temperature. And they have the right to come into the homes and the daycare centers and look at the little thermometer that you must have in your refrigerator. And if it doesn't have the right reading on it, then they can shut you down. A daycare in Wenatchee was shut down because they had toxic chemicals in the bathroom. It turned out to be an air freshener on a shelf that was above the toilet, so it was very high up. And they did get shut down for having toxic chemicals. What's happening in the daycare world is that through licensing, and they say right now voluntary compliance with our standards, they are asking private businesses to jump on the train of government. That's not only happening with daycares, it's happening with adult home providers and some other industries. That is a backdoor way where government is coming in and over-regulating businesses.
Sounds like tyranny.
It could be, and is there anything worse than tyranny? So, again, this is what we need to do, is we need to get informed. We need to share the information because this is a numbers game in Olympia. Even though you can't come down to Olympia, make those phone calls, send those emails. Those are the types of things that every one of us sitting here can do, and we can also tell all our friends to do the same. So get informed, share information, and contact your legislators. I bring that up also because 4 years ago I ran for office. I had spent 9 years now in these walls. And when I ran for office, there are people who said, what is she doing running for office? She's just a mom. She's just an accountant. What experience does she have? And so because I did not have any documented experience in politics, there are people who refuse to vote for me. I bring that up again because today you have a bunch of people that are running for office. None of these people have credentials or experience in government. So do we want to continue voting for politicians that have experience that are going to take away our wood stoves, experience that are going to take away our daycares, including grandma, allowing grandma to take care of their grandchildren? Or are we going to make a change in our mindset and start voting for men and women who are running for office because they feel that they are called to run by God, they run to promote the Constitution of our country, and they run on a standard of truth?